event on the, what is today, it's the 9th day of May, 2025. 30 days from today will be my daughter's 51st birthday. Hard to believe. Well, anyway.
Kind of giving up your age there, aren't you? You know, just saying.
I'm 72 and 3/4. Is what it is.
Deborah's 73.
That's right. Anyway, and Andy is waiting for me to announce that we're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance. And we'll probably do that.
He's wondering how long he's going to have to stand.
I was wondering how long he would. Okay, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
No, sure, you bet. You betcha. Good to see you, Roger.
Nice to see you too.
So, when we were in Lincoln last week, the video machine wasn't working. Is it working this week?
Everything's fine.
All right, so we will use proper forum and make sure everybody goes up, speaks from the podium, and,
Tom said we could just shut that up.
no. He doesn't run the place. He was not elected. And besides, I've got this lawyer problem.
Yes, yes.
I am a believer, you follow the law. You don't break it, you can change it. Okay. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, let's see. I probably better do introductions. All right. Starting in the left-hand corner, Roger Baltz, our CAO, which stands for Chief Administrative Officer. I'm working on my acronyms. And then sitting next to him is world-renowned Andy Hunthausen, Commissioner. Good morning. With 18 years of experience. And to my farthest right, Sheriff Leo Dutton. Good morning, Sheriff.
Thank you for your service.
And the next one next to him is from our health department, and I think he's from the solid waste or
land use.
land
sanitary,
use.
yeah,
Okay.
Environmental health.
And he told me his name here a little bit ago, but of course I don't remember it. What? Adam?
Amazing. Yep.
You didn't tell me your name this time. I would have remembered. Adam Mays.
Yes.
This is Audra Zackel. That's right. And she, when Jenny Chambers is gone, she's in charge. And Jenny is out of town, so we can get some stuff done. And this is Kevin Horn. He works for he runs the road department for Lewis and Clark County. And I am Candace T. Payne. T stands for Oh, it's a quick group here. All right. Reports. Is there anything special in reports, or did we just keep?
No, that
Just
refers to the next.
Okay, this refers to the sheriff report, which is going to be next. Sheriff Dutton, would you lead us in an explanation of what the heck's going on?
Looking at my report.
You at least have a joke for us, don't you?
I do. What do one ocean say to the next? Nothing, they just wave.
There's when you tell kids, you know.
This is specifically to our business. It says, what is the opposite of artificial intelligence?
Real?
Natural stupidity. That's good. All right. See, I told you I did that. You just missed those. I know you did.
We did.
So I have a whole list of things. I was expecting a huge crowd, but for those of you, I will tell this other joke because I think you probably forgot it. I've told it before. But there was this pastor went out and gave services to a rural community, and it was winter time. It was cold. He got out there. He had to bust through quite a few drifts. He managed to make it. He opened up the church, little small community church, and just one guy showed up. kinda like today, just one guy. And so he got up there and said, welcome, and he just gave a wonderful sermon. And it took a while, but it was a great sermon, and he got down and he felt pretty good about it. Walked back to meet the guy who'd come, and he said, welcome, I'm glad you made it. He said, how'd you enjoy my sermon? I said, well, honest, Pastor, it was kind of long. He goes, well, when you're out there driving around and you see a cow, don't you stop and feed it? He goes, yeah, but I don't give him the whole pickup load. So,
We have a book. We have a book.
back to this one.
Okay.
So right now, we have a coroner's inquest that's going on,
Yeah.
that we have some deputies that happened back in, it was, happened at Jester's Bar, where an individual was inside, had been asked to leave. I can talk about it a little bit, because it's happening currently, and had been asked to leave several times. He came back in and was somewhat erratic, locked himself in the bathroom, and so the city police responded. They tried to talk to him through the door, and talked to him, and he came out brandishing a knife and stabbed one of the city policemen and was shot and killed. So they're going through that inquest now. The other inquest that will happen, that happened at the courthouse, didn't happen outside of the courthouse, where a lady brandished a weapon inside the courthouse, and later was eliminated a couple of blocks from the courthouse when she ran. That will be in November. That inquest will be November. I will not be doing that one, so we'll have another one just because our agency was involved. I did have an officer that did fire along with the city police. So we'll bring in an outside one. There, we're having a Jessie Bilquist, or she changed her name, she got remarried. She's Anaconda Deer Lodge coroner. She's doing that one today. The, probably on your mind is the tragic part of the homicide-suicide that we had that was on just north of Steinbach. I put the name out there. Unfortunately, Ty and Scott. One was a homicide where Scott killed Ty and then went out and then later committed suicide. We had some trouble with that in that things of the crime scene didn't match up. So when we responded, fire had started in the home by Scott. He had shot his brother. They were arguing over who was going to get the ranch and who should get a bigger part of it. A fist fight ensued. Then Scott pulled out a handgun and shot him, and then apologized to his mother, who has organic dementia, and then went out and got a can of gas and threw it in on Ty's body in the house. So the hired hand saw the smoke. The dad was upstairs, and mom came down. The house was full of smoke as the fire goes, and mom tried to put out the fire. The hired hand helped drug Ty's body out so it wasn't burned very bad. And then he went out up on the hill. This is all anecdotal because it took us a while to find this out, but I can release it now because there's going to be no charges. So he went up on the hill, and first he called his cousin and said, hey, this is what I'm going to do, here's some papers, but he didn't tell anybody else. So cousin arrived and went out. After he committed suicide, the cousin arrived. The hired hand saw this guy moving back and forth, thought he knew him, but he was actually carrying out what Scott had asked him to do, but we didn't know that. So we trying to put it together, and you only get one bite of the apple when you're doing an investigation. So we went out and got a search warrant for Steinbach and the cousins. And the name will come to me here in a second. Ingersoll's. So, we went and talked to Ingersoll's. There was a hard part with when it was first relayed to me that the crime scene, was some suspicious circumstances, that it did look like he had been shot in the back. So that made it a homicide. But now we had to approach it as a homicide with, now we have an unknown shooter, possibly, don't know. So the only witness, according to the hired hand, was great, talked to us, let us know what he saw. When we went to Ingersoll's, one of them said, I want an attorney. So that puts your index of suspicion up about, maybe this is more than we thought. So we did bring them in, we didn't arrest them. Some people in the area thought we did arrest them, but we did not. We did bring them in, questioned them. Well, one of them didn't want to talk about an attorney, which is their right. That's the constitutional right. The other one finally, Dusty finally said, hey, here's what happened here, and we had to wait. So we did collect 28 guns because you get, as I said, you get one bite at the apple. And if that was one of those guns that were there, were one of the ones used in a homicide, and we wouldn't get another chance. So we did take those. Then we waited till Monday to find out what the results of the autopsy were. The pathologist over in Missoula confirmed that it was a self-inflicted gunshot wound. It was a 9mm with called a bear round, and it did a lot of damage. One of the rounds came out the back and gave the appearance of a entrance wound. Well, as soon as we knew that, we released the information, said it was a homicide-suicide. But it was a tragic thing. They're all related in there. They're either cousins or somewhere in there. So there's no way to say, well, you can say sorry to the families, but they're not around much. But that's the detail of what happened that we were able to put together, and we corroborated Dusty's story, and it was along with the hired hand and everything gelled once we got the coroner's report. So that was all confidential information until we found out that it wasn't a suicide. I mean, that it was a suicide, it wasn't a homicide. The other sad news that the Augusta deputy assigned here, Devin, is moving back to Helena. He just can't find affordable housing up here. He wanted to come up here, buy some land, move his family up here, but that didn't happen. So I have no choice in that I'll still have a resident deputy up here, but they're gonna drive out of Helena every day. It's not meant for now to have somebody up here. I'd rather work with the community and have someone here all the time, but right now, the need is to have someone, but housing isn't working. So that will be a change into the Augusta area. Next, budgets are ready for review, we're getting close. So we'll talk about that when that comes about. It's been getting wild in Helena. We had a detention officer get stabbed in the face with a homemade shank. And I fully admit that mental illness is a problem for this young man, but I'm not sure he belongs in our jail other than he's violent. And every time that we have to deal with the individual, he reacts violently. And there was no provocation. They were delivering him his meal and said, hey, here's your meal. And he just popped off, and he already had the shiv in his hand and stabbed him right in the face, missing his eye, not my bunch. So another detention, and then attacked him and was going to stab him more, but he got him around, the inmate got the detention officer around the neck, and they fell. And there were two people that were serving him, so the other detention officer got there and was called for help. So they restrained him, got him to the hospital, I know, because I called him there. He was okay, but he's a solid guy, really is. He took a day off because it was swelled up a little bit. He came back to work the next day after that, and then once again, this guy goes out of control, and he went in, didn't hesitate, and what they do is they put him in what they call wrap, and it's a plastic piece of equipment that controls your arms and things like that, so when you're out of control, that you can't hurt yourself or anybody else. But he tried to attack the same guy, but this time, knowing what he was capable of, he didn't get the job done of attacking. So it's just, there have been comments of, well, you know, you be better trained, better this, better that. They do good training. We do good training in there. Went from a docile attitude to anger in a snap of a finger. So they train and train. Our first approach every time is to be nice. Treat the inmates with respect. Be nice, expect respect, but don't start a fight when you don't need to. Don't be mean. If we find out we've hired one of those, then they're out the door. It just causes problems. This guy is great. He approaches people very professionally, and that's not the case. So we're working that. We have to really be careful because it can damper the morale of people. If we don't say that we rallied around the one that was stabbed, yet take appropriate action. You can't, the guy needs, Allsway needs to be on medication, on psychotropic medication, but you can't force him to be on it. But until then, he's going to have episodes that are violent. And it's just tough getting them over to Warm Springs because they don't want them when they're violent. So we do have a mental health problem. So next thing is Honor Guard. We have a Lewis and Clark County Honor Guard, and then they started. I helped them, but they did the work, started a statewide Honor Guard. We've had several deployments. Recent one was yesterday where we did indigent burial out at the county cemetery, and they folded the flag there and went in. Interestingly enough, I didn't say anything to the crowd then, but I was tempted to, but one of the names on that indigent list was a gentleman that we had dealt with in very bad crime. I mean, bad, of sexually assaulting kids, young kids. So nobody wanted him, but yet as a community, we came together and gave him a final respect because he was a human being. That was tough for us because we dealt with him, we know what he did. But to bury that and say, as a human being, we'll give you respect. There were other names on there, former dispatcher that just for highway patrol. You never know what the backstory of those people are, and that just happened to be one of them. But everybody in our office performed admirably and put that aside and said, you're dead now, so rest in peace, or wherever you're going. You know, I'm trying not to preach, but if it's hot there, you earned it. The honor guard part was, we went and did a funeral, honor guard services called Earn Watch for former Sheriff Scott Howard. He probably was here. You may have met him, you may not have met him, but he was in Lincoln a lot. Sometimes he would really drop everything to come help this county. So we went over there and he died of cancer. Then Detention Commander Jason Valdez, he was down in Yellowstone County. So I'll give this secret away, I shouldn't, but my part is I've never was in the military, so marching, they gotta really work with me, and being in step, or being on the rifle company, those kind of things. I can do it, but it takes some work. So they assigned me to play the bugle. I didn't miss a note. I played it and I got many compliments. What you don't see is it's a little electronic thing in the front of the bugle that you learn to very covertly play it. And it sounds wonderful, it looks wonderful. I even feel good about matching my breath, like I'm really blowing on it. And I'm a good actor at it. So, anyway, got several like, I didn't know you could play. And I said, electronics are a wonderful thing. But it's play taps by pushing the button, but I have the breath down. Anyway, you do what you gotta do. Then that ends that part of it. Told you about the next thing will be the honor guard that will be deployed. We're gonna go scope it out next week to Washington DC. The state team wants to compete in Washington DC, and we're gonna see what we can do. We will stand watch. We've signed up because you don't have to spin the gun and that kind of stuff. If I'm spinning the gun, you should be in another room. But there is other things that we can do. So the statewide team wants to come together and start practicing. This is going to reconnoiter what we might be able to do. So we'll be there during the week. We've signed up several times to do the honor guard. Then we're going to go watch a real professional at Arlington Cemetery, the changing of the guard. So we've got quite an agenda to go. And the rodeos are coming up, the Augusta Rodeo. I'll have the person who's in charge come up and have a little meeting with the business people. I was hoping they would be here, but maybe June we'll have them come up here to talk to all of you people, one question at a time. That's it. I have more jokes, but I'll save it till next time. I was gonna say that all I ask that they say that money can't bring happiness. I just like a chance to either prove or disprove that. All right, back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Sheriff. Are there any questions?
Thanks, Leo. Thank you.
Okay. Do I have to ask for? Thank you, Leo. I appreciate it. This is tough stuff you got going. Some of it. Okay, now we need a public works report. Audra? You get to help with this? All right.
Good morning. Thank you, Chair Payne. I'm Audra Zackrell. I'm the Assistant Public Works Director for the county, filling in today for Jenny Chambers, who's off till next week. I have just a few administrative updates to let you know about, and then I'm going to pass the torch to Kevin Horn, our Road and Bridge Operations Manager. Currently, Public Works is hiring 4 positions. We have an Administrative Assistant 2 in our main office that we're looking for. That position closes on the 26th. We have a Bridge Equipment Operator that would be located in Helena. That position is open until filled. We have a Road Equipment Operator position that will be out of the Lincoln shop area, and that is open until filled as well. And then we have a Construction Coordinator position that is open currently, and that's out of the Helena office. And we are interviewing candidates now, but that is also open until filled. If we don't find the right person for that in this interview panel. As the sheriff mentioned, budgets are due for fiscal year 26. They're due next week on Thursday. Public Works will present our budget to the Board of County Commissioners on Wednesday, May 28th. That will take pretty much the whole day for us. They're going to be live streamed if any of you would like to attend and watch our budget presentation. Public Works as a whole, our combined total is approximately $37 million. That crosses about 26 budgets. So it's a pretty big budget for the county, and that's why it takes all day to present for the commissioners. Let's see, we've been watching House Bill 11 This is a bill that will fund the Montana Coal Endowment Program, also called MSEP. You've probably heard us talk about MSEP quite a bit. We've submitted a grant application to replace the Augusta Clemens Bridge. This bill appropriates over $3.5 million for MSEP projects, of which the Augusta Clemens project is currently ranked number 1 as a priority. So that is a good place to be in the lineup. This bill has not been signed by the governor yet, and that's why we continue to watch it, but it would be for $750,000 in funding towards that. That's about 50% of the project. Another bill that we're watching is House Bill 924, which revises the state finance laws and has an appropriation of about $50 million to the Montana Department of Transportation. And that's as seed money to administer what they're calling the Montana Growth and Opportunity Trust that intends to make available to local governments approximately $10 million per year for bridge projects for local governments. We're waiting to see if this bill is signed by the governor, and we haven't seen what kind of criteria you have to meet to be eligible for funding from this trust. So we don't know if any of our bridge priority projects would be eligible, or if we would qualify. But if signed, we're hoping that this could be a funding source for perhaps the other $750,000 of the Augusta Clemens Bridge or other bridges that we might have on our priority list. So, are there any questions on my administrative? I'm going to turn it over to Kevin now for some construction updates.
Thank you, Audra. Chair Payne, Commissioner, thank you. Kevin Horn, Augusta County Public Works. Just to piggyback a couple things real quick, I had quite a bit of an agenda here, but I was hoping there'd be some other people here that this had to do with. So I'll make it pretty short, but I would like to mention, Audra mentioned budgets, and so did the sheriff. That's a big number for Public Works, $37 million. Audra orchestrates all of that, all 26 of those budgets. So she's been working on it probably almost 6 months.
Since September.
Since September. Puts it all together for us, does all the presentation. I think you guys see it when it comes across very professionally done with all the notes. We would totally be lost without her on that side of it. Keeps us all in line. That's a lot of budgets, you guys, and a lot of dollars that works a lot of Saturdays to get all that accomplished by those time frames. So we really appreciate what you do, Audra, on that side for all of our business units. Just a couple quick updates. Audra mentioned Augusta Clemens. That's great news. We've been working on that for a little while, right, Tom? I wish Carol was here to hear that news. So with the 924 money, hopefully some of that criteria will help fund the rest of that. As Mr. Worthwell knows, that Senate Bill 536 money, and that $100 million came down the pike a couple years, or last year. All that money wasn't available this go around. I don't remember the exact bill numbers. Actually, I think I got them here. Senate Bill 324 did pass. That had $50 million in it that would maybe got allocated towards bridge work. That did get amended out. House Bill 615, that died pretty quick. That had $30 million in it. So we're left with that $50 million over 5 years. Hopefully that criteria, like Audra said, will help fund some more of these to pay that other 50% match on MSEP. Specifically for Augusta Clemens, that's first on the radar. And of course, it's been a pretty hot topic up here for Birdtail too. Over Flat Creek. We've had a lot of those conversations. Our consultants, been talking a lot with MDT, with Ryan Dahlke there, and there was $2.5 million left in that Senate Bill 536 money that Lewis and Clark County, we tried to go after that, specifically for Birdtail. It's being held right now for more contingency. There's a lot of $100 million hanging out there in a lot of different pots, and MDT really didn't want to release much of that, not knowing what these projects, if they overran or what might happen with them. So we've been trying desperately on that. Sun Canyon, that third phase of that project, we completed about 21,000 tons of new aggregate. Yesterday actually, finished hauling. Louis and the boys will be up, kind of putting the top on that one. It's gonna get a shot of dust abatement on that lower end. Really nice improvement for that. So that improves the whole 18-mile corridor now. Everything's got new gravel on it. We have it set up over years to keep dust abatement on that in 6-mile sections every third year. What that does for us is it preserves that gravel for a longer period of time. Of course, it keeps the dust down. It does make a racetrack out of it. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's a 35-mile-an-hour zone, but when you have roads that nice going all the way up there, they turn into 55, 60-mile-an-hour zone, Sheriff, so Devin will be busy up here. The other one, Highway 435 project, that's gonna start next Wednesday. So it's starting right here in town. I hope they get far enough out of town right before the horn hunt starts, to be honest with you, because I know what Augusta's like for that on the Bar Creek area. What that's gonna consist of, right at the intersection, they'll work that way. We're gonna crack seal that 10 miles of road. And then the following week, June 1st or 2nd, whatever that Monday or Tuesday is, it's gonna get a chip seal. So it's part of our pavement preservation for that road. And then it's also gonna get epoxy paint this go around. And if you're not familiar with epoxy paint, it's gonna get shoulder stripes and center line stripes. It's a high reflective beaded paint. So it's got reflective beads in it when they put it down. So at night, it should illuminate a lot better for the traveling public. I know Jenny's talked a lot about our Augusta assignment grades, and I know our commissioners toured it the last round. I deal a lot with Mrs. Ramarini over there. I believe that's how you pronounce that. Heck of a name trying to pronounce. Is that Ramarini, right? Mrs. Ramarini over there. With concerns, and since the sheriff's here, I'll just pass on some of those concerns. Broadway kind of turns into a little bit of it's a long road, kind of a little bit of they pick up some speed on that. With that being said, that's why we upgraded a lot of that for that school crossing. And I got a sign I wanted to show you guys that these came in yesterday, so we're gonna plaster a couple of these up there to hold, that'll help with that crosswalk. Even though they're all high vis now, they trying to just go stop here. We can't use speed bumps and stop signs and things like that to control speed. We can't with speed limits, right? But when they start exceeding those, so this is one of our options we're gonna put up there. I think I wanted to bring that up because I thought we don't have a lot of those around. They're kind of cool, and we might start moving towards those a little bit. And then we also got on that, we've asked our traffic consultant, Mr. Bob Abeline, to take a look at the Hogan Broadway intersection. And I know Mrs. Ramarini, they got some future stuff that is gonna happen with the school expansions and stuff over the course of time. But we wanted to evaluate that intersection to see if we should make that a 3-way stop. So Broadway's not going all the way through. We have to follow Montana Uniform Traffic Control Device manuals that kind of dictate all of that. So we have some other work going on with Mr. Abeline, and we said, hey, would you take a look at that? Give us a recommendation. Maybe we could make it a 3-way stop. So more to follow on that. Our bridge guys were up here about 2 weeks ago. They got a couple culverts replaced. Bob Thomas, there was one over there that was real bad, and one on Flat Creek that was failing, so we got some of that work done. And then Lewis has been busy on Sun Canyon, but I know he's gonna start grading again. So after probably next week, he'll be hitting all the roads again. He got out pretty early this year. Audra was telling me, took Flat Creek on the way over. She just got some of her road work done in an adjoining county, and was telling me a little bit about it. So when we were coming up Flat Creek today, she's like, wow, this road's in really great shape. And I go, yeah, Lewis hasn't even graded it this year. You know, so kudos to him. I would mention too that, and I do every time I'm up here, you guys all know Lewis. He's one of my favorites, and I dread the day that he's gone, you know, that he decides to retire. And he'll beat me to that, so I'm not looking forward to that. Be very difficult to replace that individual. What he does, you know, for us at Public Works and the community as a whole, I mean, he just takes care of you guys, and that's so awesome for him. And I keep trying to get him to one of these. He doesn't work Fridays, but, you know, the day he does say, hey, I'm gonna retire in November, I'd really like to maybe think about having something up here for Lewis. Just what he does for this community is just unbelievable, and I appreciate him so much, so. Questions? Anybody have anything for me today?
I've got a question.
Yes, sure,
Give us a heads up on this celebration,
for sure,
like, so we can get it on the calendar.
for sure.
One thing I wanted to ask you is, regarding the bridge on the Birdtail Road. The last I heard, we were waiting for a response from the Dearborn Ranch regarding a temporary easement so you can do a detour while work is being done. Do you know what the status of, we've heard anything?
Sure, Peyton, I do know the status of that, and I appreciate the question, absolutely. Yeah, we're finalizing, those legal documents the latter part of next week. So, Public Works has been done with all our stuff. The agreements are in place, they've been reviewed by our legal, so we're just gonna put the stamp on that hopefully by the end of next week. So, there'll be other steps that we'll have to go through after the agreement's in place. That's just a detour. We'll, have to bring that to the board, you know, so we can talk about that a little bit and what the next steps are gonna be for that project. You'll see it at the end of May. We'll be asking you folks to allocate funding out of our bridge infrastructure for the design of that bridge. So you'll see that coming too at the end of the month, and a few next steps that we have to do. But it is taking a little bit longer than we anticipated, but it is on track.
And while we are getting ready to put up this fancy new bridge, will there be a temporary detour that people out there can use that, you know, to cross the creek without getting their tires wet?
Chair Payne, great question. That is correct. Yes, the first phase of that does include a detour with the temporary bridge. That's what the agreement that we're working on is. So once we have all of that, we will be able to install that detour, and then it will be there for a little while until, of course, we get the design, engineering, hydraulics, environmental, geotechnical, all the stuff that goes with that design. Probably, you know, I don't even want to take a stab on it.
You don't have to. A temporary method of accessing that property is what we can do, and I appreciate your efforts.
You bet.
I'm sure the folks that are trying to feed their cows out there appreciate your efforts.
You betcha.
Thank you.
You bet. Thanks, Brian. Everybody good? All right.
All right. We do not have a Forest Service person here, I don't believe.
No.
Okay, in that case, I'm going to ask for the public health report. Adam Mays.
Yes. Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioner. So yeah, my name's Adam Mays. I was up here a few months ago. And I talked a little bit about air quality. And I just kind of wanted to point that out first, is that it's still a concern, especially now. We're gonna start moving into wildfire season, right? So I have some visuals here. All right. So, this is just a filter paper that we used to kind of collect some, or it's clean, this one's clean, I should say. So this is what this clean paper looks like, right? So with wildfires, what we're concerned about is, this was, looks like the 2000, the fires from 2000. This is 25 and 29 parts per million, what that looked like from that last filter. So I mean, you can see a stark difference, right? And then as those fires progressed, we ended up with 75 parts per million. And then finally, this is really, really bad, right? This is at about 283 parts per million. So the reason I have these to show everybody is, as wildfire season starts, this is what's in the air that we're breathing during that time. So it's important that you have a way to take care of yourself and your lungs, especially if you have any chronic disease like asthma, or you're really sensitive in general. So we suggest making a little clean room in your house. So what that is you just make sure you have a good room where you don't leave the window open at night, and you have an air purifier. And I know air purifiers are very expensive, so I have a little trick in my back pocket for you. You could always get a box fan and stick like the $2 furnace filters on the back, and let that run at night. But yeah, basically just having a room in your house where you can go take a break, where the outside air isn't coming in. So having that ready for, as we move into the summer would be really beneficial, especially if you have any lung issues. The other thing I have to talk about without visual aids is septic systems and getting ready if you're doing any construction or thinking about any construction. 'Tis the season. So if anybody you know, or if you are considering any construction this summer and you're not in the sewer district, please let us know. Contact our office so we can either schedule a site evaluation to look at your soil so you can get a septic system in, or get your septic permit written if we've already done that. So remember, you can't start construction until you have a septic permit in place. So just give us a call if any of that pertains to you, or if you have any concerns, and we're always here to help. And I have a couple little brochures if anybody wants one about wildfire smoke, but really that's just my quick 5-minute update on what's going on. So thank you, everybody.
I've got a question
Yes,
for you. You're not getting
please.
off that easy, young man.
Oh, no, definitely.
So regarding the septic tank,
Mhm.
and getting a permit, do you have to have a formal plan for your septic tank in Grainfield? When you go in and say, I need a permit,
Sure.
you can't, you have to have something
Right.
to show them?
So what happens, the process that we go through, it kind of depends. We have to look really closely at the parcel that you're building on or wanting to build on, because it tells its own story. We look at the size of that, we look at how the lot was created, because that determines how you can put a system in. So there's some places where the state has already given approval and that's been mapped out already. And then there's other cases where you might have to ask the state to go through that process to put that on there. Or if you have like a really beautiful, nice piece of land, sometimes you can just do local permitting with us and that's it. So it really depends on the parcel. No matter what, we will come out and do, I'm sure you guys have heard of perk tests if you know anything. We don't do actual perk tests, we do soil texturing in the county. But we would do that either way, whether you have to go back up through the state approval process or if we're able to get you in with a local permit. We would come out and do those soils for you so we can determine what kind of system and how big it needs to be. And then after that's all done, if we are just doing local permitting, we will have already been up here and hung out with you and looked at the land and have decided where everything's gonna kind of go. Or if you're going through the state process, you have to turn in a lot layout to them and they put a stamp on it.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
it does.
Okay, I'm like, did I just kind of?
Well, what I don't want people to think is, oh, I gotta run into town today and get a permit, and thinking it's like, picking up your hunting license or something.
Right,
So-
so you'll need to know, so I suggest calling ahead if you don't want to, we're very available, there's always somebody there to help, so just give us a call ahead of time so we can explain what you need to do. Our applications are online too, so
Okay.
that makes it a little easier, and we're
For
very,
some.
yeah, for some. And we can always use snail mail too if we need to, so we're very flexible, we can send emails, we can send mail, so yeah, we're here to help you, so please just let us know what we can do, especially if you're looking at that, so. Yeah,
Very helpful. Any other questions for me?
great.
Thank you.
Okay, because we did not have a report from the service, the Forest Service, we have room on our agenda for a legislative report from our friend Zach Worth. Zach, you got up and do a 3-minute, if nothing else, tell jokes like the sheriff did.
I didn't really, I'm Zach Worth, represent House District 17. I didn't really come with a lot of prepared. What I did come with was just to be here. It's been since September or October since I've last been to Augusta for this meeting, and I thought it was important that I would come up here. We're all concerned with bird tail, and and out here on Elk Creek and various bridges that are concerned. For me, the legislative session was a little bit, first of all, it was tremendously chaotic. Two, I can show you a picture on my phone of the stack of bills, but it's sitting on a desk that's about this high, and the stack of bills reaches up over my head to the top of my hand. It's a lot of paper to work through. If I had to focus, on the Transportation Committee is my favorite committee. I was the vice chair last time, and the way that legislative works, I've been appointed to the interim committee on transportation. And the way that works is between one session, the senator is usually the chair, and then the next one is usually a representative. Well, following those rules, that would make me the chair of the Transportation Committee. I've actually been working with, I've been waiting for a text, but no, that's not it, from the department, but, anyway, that would make me the chair. And I'm planning on doing a little bit differently. It's gonna be a little bit more open, a little bit more conversational. Last interim committee, we spent over 50% of our time talking about a roundabout in Bitterroot Valley. Which, if you want to start people wiggling their feet and tapping their toes, that one can get pretty, that one was boring. There's so many issues in Montana. What was the issue that they're having on Highway 212 down between Crow Agency and Belfouche? Representative presented a bill. When we come to the transportation, the Montana Department of Transportation, and we try to get something favorable, like I brought a bill and got shamed. I got shamed when I brought Bowman's Corner because the Department of Highways really does not like to be told how their priorities work. Now, everybody that sits there and goes through Bowman's Corner, everybody in Teton County, everybody all the way to Browning, all you have to do is do a 360 spin with your feet, and you can see that something is necessary there. You can read the old newspaper archives. You can look back at what Sheriff I never thought of his name. Minimus, Dave Minimus. Dave Minimus. When the 6 children were killed there in 1966 in July from Pennsylvania and New Jersey, I was 15 years old at that time, and the vehicle that hit the station wagon was a car carrier, so there was a lot of cars spread over that hole. And for whatever reason, 2 days afterwards, my dad and I drove through there. I don't know if my dad had to go up there and look, or if we were just happened to be going through there. I don't recall all that, but I do remember, and they didn't recover a mess from an accident like they can today. Nowadays, they get out there with brooms and vacuums, and, they pretty much get these things cleaned up pretty fast. So it's been on my, I haven't driven through there since I was 20, when I haven't wanted to see some safety improvements there. Coming from Sims, it's 15 seconds at most if you're parked there in a horse trailer and want to turn towards Wolf Creek coming from Sims. If you're coming from Lincoln, you've got a lot more time, and you can see it's uphill both ways. Rick Ripley said I would be burned in oil if it turns into a roundabout. So I'll have to avoid that particular concept, if I can. So anyway, I'm gonna keep nagging. And we had a legislator present a bill trying to do Highway 212 down by, east of Pro Agency, west of Ashland. And the following morning, her children were getting loaded on a school bus when a car from Louisiana, Arkansas, I forget which, you might remember there, hit into them. A baby was killed, a boy and a girl, all 19, 20-year-old people, rear-ended that bus. Nobody on the bus was killed or injured, but her children were just getting on the bus. The bus was stopped in a pickup. So I think that one attorney has told me that we're kind of spooking the Department of Transportation. And I've made the strong point that you can build a subdivision outside of Bozeman, Missoula, and all of a sudden your traffic increases, and all of a sudden you've got a 10-year problem, and you're getting a few accidents, you're getting maybe school children crossing, anything like that. But we can go here to Bowman's Corner, we can go over here to Fairfield where 431 crosses US 89, where there's been 2 fatalities in the last 3 years right there. We can look at some, up at Lincoln, there's a a guardrail right there next to the bridge where it comes, and that snowdrift has a, and have you observed this, Kevin, where that snow comes in across there and actually does a wave, like an ocean wave? And lays right against the guardrail, and the two people have hooked their cars on that one snowdrift, and you just can't plow that road that often. It's a perfect storm and all they want is some snow fence. But getting these people to see what we see has been really a big struggle for me. And I feel like a failure in so many ways. You know, getting money for these bridges, getting money for something real, tangible. I'm a tangible guy. I'm not a guy who sees things in all the intangible ways. Putting $300 million in a trust fund is just silly to me when we have so many needs right here. So that's what I am. And I'm still winding down. It'll take me a couple more weeks to kind of wind down from all of this. The governor is vetoing bills. We get notices for that. He must be out of town today because I haven't gotten any notices. Anyway.
Do you have any questions for
Yeah.
Representative?
I'm just rambling, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
You're giving us information. One remark you made to me earlier had to do with your, your feeling of failure. You've said that here, that you're very frustrated and you think, well, maybe you shouldn't be running. And I really hope you are now coming to the part where you are experienced, you've got all that gray hair, and so you are acquiring methods of solving problems that you probably didn't have 10 years ago. And the next time they send some high school kid from the Flathead down here, sorry.
Oh, I've lived it, it's hilarious.
So I hope you will
Thank you very much.
run again, and I hope you will
Commissioner.
encourage people who are of a moderate and a problem-solving skill to step up and do the right thing. This is the first public office I've ever held. I had no idea what it involved. And I take a lot of grief about being a politician, but it's from people who have never had the courage to step up and say, I want to be part of the solution.
There's an old song from Harry Chapin that, and he talks about his friends and his foes, and that music was his finest friend and his fiercest foe. And sometimes you meet people like that, and you meet people on both sides of the aisle who can be very, very good quality people. And you want honesty, you want openness. I think I've achieved that. There's a number of things. Where I'm a failure is with our 20-year-old or 19-year-old, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Commissioner, we just wanted to
Yep.
thank you
Oh.
as well. I don't have a question or anything, I just wanted to express my appreciation for your hard work, and as we were talking beforehand, it's a grueling experience, and people don't understand what you've been through unless you've kind of been through it or really been a student of it, and it's a lot. So just very much appreciate your hard work
Well, thank you.
and your service, so thank you.
Thank you very much for coming from both of you, and I know Tom, that means a lot. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have an announcement I'm supposed to be making. The Community Development and Planning will be giving a county growth policy update presentation on Friday, June 13th at 11 a.m. So is this to be in place of this meeting?
That's correct.
Because for this meeting, certain ones of us will be in Philadelphia.
No.
Is that when you're gone?
We are hosting district meeting, the
Okay,
Mako district meeting in Helen.
we've got other things to do,
So we won't be
so
here.
we don't need to come. But, community development and planning, and I hope you'll come and see what it is, what their questions are. These people put on these panels in various places in our community, and they work really hard, and they feel really bad when nobody shows up. It's kind of like, look at this, we've got 4 people in the audience, and 1, 2, 6, 7 people who are presenting, and it is
Usually we have more.
I know, and that's, some of our
Don't be
regulars,
picking on us too hard.
I miss some of these people.
Don't unload the one bale.
What?
Don't unload the one bale of hay.
Oh, that's right,
Yeah,
okay.
there you go.
Okay. There is no other business on my agenda, but we have, our next meeting won't be until July 11th, 2025, because we've got this other thing going on. So now we've come to the point where we can ask for public comment on any matter, on any public matter within the jurisdiction of the commission that is not on the agenda. So if you've got something you wanna get off your chest, this is the time to do it.
Well, that would be me.
Okay, then.
They're gonna want you to go up to the.
You have to go up.
You gotta give your name and you
The legislature has passed rules where all of our meetings have got to be recorded,
Okay.
and we do the best we can. So state your name.
I'm Julie Young, and I'm representing King Unitrust. I emailed you just this week, and excuse me for being late. I thought it was 11:30, so anyway.
You're fine.
So,
You just missed out on Leo's jokes.
I know it.
That was the bale of hay joke, yeah.
So anyway, the Unitrust gives out money just to the community of Augusta every year. And I used to be the president of the youth center when the youth center received this building from the Moores. And so I've seen kind of the progression of what's happened with it, and I guess I don't understand what's happened in the future with it, with why what happened. Anyway, that's really not what I'm here. What I'm really concerned about is I know that there's been several functions in this building, and there's no tables and chairs anymore because the youth center, the present youth center, has removed them. And the Unitrust is interested in possibly buying tables and chairs for this building if you guys are okay with storing them here, and wondering who would be looking after them, I guess. It has to be to a 501c3, a nonprofit. So if we couldn't do it through the county, I could ask the senior center if we could give them money, and then I would help them purchase it, do the work to purchase it. Or the library, is that who, here in town, is the library who takes care of the renting of the building and everything? Or I'm really out of sync of what happens.
I am
with the
going
building.
to let
Holly.
my partner in crime answer. Andy? You've been around
Chair-
longer than I
Chair
have.
Payne, I'll try to
Thank you.
hit some of the highlights, and then there's other people in the room that can help. But my understanding is this, excuse me?
They know, there's people from Public Works.
Yeah, they do know. They take care of the building and stuff, so they'll be